Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the Producers Hangout post NAMM 2016 show, and we got a really live group today. So it's of course me, Flux of FluxWithIt.com and SonicExpansion.com, and of course we've got Mike of PadBangers.com on here, and our special guests for this show are going to be Upright Bryce, and we've also got St. Joe from SoundsandGear.com, and we've got William McKnight of SonicExpansion.com as well. So myself, William McKnight, St. Joe, and Bryce, we were all at NAMM together. We kind of all got to see a little bit of different things because although we were together, we were also separate, doing our own things, had our own separate meetings, had our own separate appointments, and that kind of thing, and roamed a bit. So we all have a bit of a different perspective on what we got to see at NAMM 2016.
Yeah.
And Mike from Padbangers, he's out there in Germany. So being out in Germany, he got to get the whole media coverage of what everybody's bringing in, and kind of has his own take on what he saw and what he thinks might be interesting from NAMM. So we're gonna jump right in, and the first thing I want to do is I want to throw it to Mike of Padbangers and talk to him and just kind of like get his overall thought on what he was interested in.
All right, so first of all, I gotta say, I think it was a really dope NAM this year. A lot of interesting stuff coming up, but from an outstanding person's view, like I couldn't be there. I gotta say, I think the biggest topic was the modular stuff. There was so many new modules coming up, and everybody of you guys, I think 2/3 of every post you did was about modular gear. So it seems like it's still growing a lot.
Yeah.
So I found that's really interesting, but also a lot of new hardware synths. I didn't hear much about new software besides that pitch to MIDI software that came up on my timeline. Besides that, I didn't hear much about new software. It was really all focused on new hardware gear.
Yeah.
Joe, did you tend to see some of the software stuff? I did see Motu there, and I know you had talked to Studio Linked, but I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
really see
yeah.
a lot of software.
Yeah. I mean, I went down and checked out Studio Link because I've been following them for a minute, so it was cool to see them. I didn't really check out any other software outside of the new stuff that in music has come in, like the VIP software, and they didn't have the pitch to MIDI stuff on display, but they kind of talked about that. But I didn't get too much into software this year either. I
Uh,
mean, I'm sure there was there. I saw like FL Studio and all them guys, and
yeah,
Rob
yeah.
Poppin was there. I think he has some kind of new host for all of his plugins. You can kind of combine his plugins in one preset and stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't really, yeah, I didn't really check out much software this year at
What
all.
about you, Upright?
You're
Oh,
muted,
you're
man.
muted. You want to unmute? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I noticed on the second floor, maybe
Yeah,
it was the third floor. There was a whole like section
yeah.
dedicated to software.
It was
It-
called software.nam. Yeah, it was on the second floor.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I went.
Did you happen to go in there, Joe?
Yeah. I went in there. I mean, a lot of it was stuff that I was already familiar with. Like Best Service was up there, Centurial guy was up there.
Okay.
I went up there mainly to talk to him because we've been talking for years online,
Yeah,
so I wanted to
actually,
meet him in person. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. I think that they had all those guys together in one spot, so you can kind of get.
Cause yeah, I was thinking afterwards. I was wondering, was Ableton there, or were they in
No,
that?
no, 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 no,
Okay, they
no.
didn't have a booth or anything, right?
Uh-uh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. But I
Yeah,
mean, it was cool.
I didn't really look at any software either. I was mainly in the modular
Yeah.
area, and looking at the new stuff. But I was strictly pretty much in that area right there.
Right, right.
Yep.
yeah. I'm not going to Willie on this right away because Willie was next to me pretty much the whole time, and I know where he was, and we'll
Right.
get into that in a second. But what I'll say is so there was a few different software things that I kind of wanted to see. I only stopped briefly over at Bitwig, because I know they were there. They were actually right next to the modular booth.
Yeah.
But who I did see was I stopped over to see Akai.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and it was really kind of funny when I stopped over to see Akai because of the previous NAMMs that I had been there and the coverage that we had done for the NPCs and all, and
Yep.
it was pretty aggressive reporting, I guess you could call. So
We're pretty infamous for those.
yeah, 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 the infamous trio when we go over there. So
Yeah.
this year I went over there and I'll be honest with you. I kind of saw Dan's face start to drop a little bit when he saw me. Like, I really don't want to talk to this guy. He's a jerk, whatever. Which is, hey, which is fair enough. You know, I'll take that heat. But I have to say, when I went over there and I checked out the stuff, I gave it a pretty positive interview because I feel like they're actually listening to people.
Oh yeah, they're dope, man. They
Yeah,
got
they
something
are.
dope.
They're bringing things along for
the
sure.
There's
software
really
that
no way around it, man. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first thing I did was I kind of asked him a little bit about 2.0. I didn't dive super deep into 2.0 coverage because I figured everybody and their mom is doing that already. You can go to the other sites and see that. So I just kind of wanted to ask him some other questions about it. I asked him some things about the new controllers. So they
mhm,
have the MPC Studio Black,
which is
which
dope.
has
Which looks really dope.
yeah,
Which
they
looks
got
really
different
dope.
dials, and now they have knobs on there. And I wanted to feel it and see what the build quality was, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what I'll say about it is, my initial impression when I saw the picture of it was, well, I liked how the old one would slip into your bag and there's nothing that could get knocked off. So I specifically asked them about that. And I said, what kind of rigidity testing are you guys doing on these knobs to make sure that you know, if they get knocked around, are they going to get broken off and this and that? And he kind of assured me that because the cap is so wide on them that if there's any flex left, right, up and down, whatever, the cap will even kind of stop it. So they said that you really would, you know, have to go hard to break those potentiometers
Yeah.
or encoders off of there.
I mean, I think that was
So
the best move for them, man, because
Yeah.
I have the MPC Studio and those flat knobs. It's cool to
Right.
slip it in the bag, but in use, they're just not
mhm.
dope in
Practical.
my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
not. So I always felt like they should have knobs on them anyway. And plus, you know me, man, I really don't take my controllers or anything anywhere at all. So for me, that's not a big thing.
My other thought on that when I saw it was just you know, the overall design. I thought the black look on it looked kind of nice, and
Yeah.
I got hands on with the MPC Studio, and he showed me how the stand can readjust and go to the opposite side of it so that you could have it in like a performance oriented,
I mean
you
the
know,
touch.
move. Yeah, so that was pretty cool, and you know, I kind of got into it with him a little bit about, you know, I still kind of felt like the pad should be on your right hand and the screen should be on your
Yeah.
left. And we kind of bantered back and forth. He had his opinion on it, I told him was wrong. And
Of course. Of course.
of course, you know, so and I kind of said, you know, well, you know, if you look at the software, the knobs are on the left and the pads are on the right. I was like, it should be parity there, you know. And
Yeah.
so we kind of talked about that a little bit. I did ask him, and this kind of goes away from the software a little bit. I asked him a couple of questions that aren't on the video that I wanted to talk about, and that was the first thing I asked him about was the analog stuff. We had seen a picture of the AX73 and saying, you know, celebrating 30 years of the AX, and I
Yeah.
said, was that just a picture? I was like, are you guys hyping something? Like, what's going on? And he basically kind of gave me a vibe of it was an unfortunate timing of that photo coming out because it drummed up a lot of hype for something that they really don't have any intentions of doing.
Mhm.
Um, which left me with mixed feelings because I fully get it because I can see how the launch of previous analog products didn't necessarily go so great. So I
Right.
totally
Right.
understand that, you know, it doesn't necessarily make sense for them to do a flagship if your smaller stuff, you know, kind of floundered a bit. You know, not to be too harsh, but you know, that's kind of what I felt happened. The other thing was, and Joe, I'm going to let Joe kind of expand on this a bit. There was the advanced series of keyboards that came out, and M
Mhm.
Audio, who they're, you know, kind of linked up with, has a new line of MIDI controllers that are actually nice. The last NAMM I
Yeah,
went to, I didn't like any of their MIDI controllers.
yeah,
The
that
feelings are
control
actually
joint.
pretty nice.
Yeah,
I
But,
asked
but
one
before
person
before
a
we
question.
before
Uh-huh.
we jump off of a Kai real quick, I just wanted to say something that some people may find useful out there. Not having touched the MPC Touch at all, and hearing all of the kind of people on both sides. Um, Having touched it for the first time, I felt like it's actually pretty solid, and
yeah,
the touch screen really works good.
yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be as usable and as user friendly as it actually was. So
Yeah,
kudos to them.
no, I
I mean,
agree, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
I
was
agree.
really impressed by that. I was really impressed by that. I thought it was going to be cheap. I thought the UI was going to be messed up. The touch screen wasn't going to work really good, and it actually does bring the workflow more forward,
Yeah,
and brings the software kind of out. So for those that may be
yeah,
kind of on the fence about that, I just wanted to throw that information out there because that touch screen is pretty dope. It's pretty
yeah.
dope.
I wasn't so much concerned about it being cheap. I mean, they make pretty quality, hardware, but I was more so concerned about how useful the touchscreen was going to be, how responsive it was going to be, and stuff like that. And I mean, I haven't had it in my setup to really use it, but from what I
Right,
saw there, that was my first time playing with it, and like you said, I mean, it was pretty stable, it was pretty responsive, seemed to work pretty good. So, and I
right.
really do dig the fat pads that they put on there, man. Like
Definitely, yeah.
I wish they would have put those on the new studio controller as well. Like those are really really responsive. Like really really dope. They feel
I
good.
agree,
Real,
man. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's another thing I was going to ask about the studio. I didn't know because from the photo, I didn't get a chance to look at it there, but it doesn't have those fat pads then, huh?
No.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to
well,
jump in with
I
that real
asked him
quick.
about the fat pads and like how deep they actually went into the touch controller and all, and he kind of showed me they go about midway down on the actual, below the surface on there. And the touch screen to me, the software that runs the touchscreen I felt was really good. I kind of liked it and I thought it was interesting. The responsiveness of the screen I felt was okay. Like it's
Yeah.
not anywhere near iPad responsive,
It's not as bad as I thought though.
but
Like
Yeah,
yeah.
it's about Android tablet responsive. Like it's not bad. Like it has a little bit of a lag, but not real bad. So
Yeah, I mean it don't have that smoothness of iOS. Like
right,
iOS is real smooth in its response. I mean it responds, but it's kind of like when it responds, you kind of jump here and there, and it's just
yeah,
it's not as fluid. But yeah, I mean it seemed to not lag as much as I was
right.
expecting it to. But I still, like I said, I haven't really edited any samples on it or anything like that. But I
there
spent
was
some
some cool
Right.
time.
aspects of that because
Yeah,
I noticed when you start editing it, like it auto scrubs and that kind of stuff, which I thought was cool. Um, but getting back to my point, what I was saying is that the advanced series of keyboards are actually really really nice, and I like the thick knobs on them.
yeah,
But my issue has always been ever since Novation did the SL range and they had the scribble strips under the
yes,
knobs.
yep.
To me, that was like, and that was a long time ago. I was like,
That's the standard though.
that's how
Like
it should be from here
it
on out.
is.
Like, you should
Yeah.
always have a scribble strip right under the knob or above the knob, whichever you choose, and let it tell me exactly what that knob is. And I
Man,
I
asked,
agree.
what is it? What is a scribble strip? I hear you guys always
Just the
talking about it.
screens. Just your screen, a screen, little screen under the knobs. You
A
know,
Man,
little
look
screen under lock. Like, give me an example of some gear that has one.
look
native
at
instruments,
look at my
native
screen.
instruments like that. What Mike has.
see
You
how it
see
has a screen right above
there
each knob?
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
exactly.
Yeah.
okay.
So no matter what knob you touch or what fader, you see the
Y-
exact name of that knob above on this little.
Okay, so you basically get a readout per knob, right?
Yep.
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
Exactly.
okay,
It will tell
okay,
you
gotcha,
exactly what that knob is assigned to. So
Right.
gotcha, gotcha,
look
gotcha, gotcha.
away to the
Okay,
left, to the right. You look at the knob and you know what it is. Just like on machine,
Definitely.
it always tells you what it is. Just like on push, it always
Yep.
tells you what that knob is doing.
okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
So I
Yeah.
asked him, I said, is there a reason? I mean, was it just price? What, that you guys are going for like, it's a nice looking screen, but it's not what I want. Like, it's
Yeah.
what prevents me from really even wanting one. Because the knobs are like big and chunky and nice.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, it was basically like a price thing at that point. And that it is something that they would consider in the future doing. You know, like
Yeah,
it is an upgrade that they would consider doing. So
they have
I
to,
kind of
man.
pleaded with him about that for a while. I was like, you know, please do something like that because I
Yeah.
would definitely be interested in that. You know.
I mean, that was one of my main things when I reviewed that keyboard. Like, it's dope, but I really wish it had that because, you do get tired of looking back and forth, even though it's only like a few millimeters, it's not that far. Like, just looking over an inch when you're tweaking something can kind of just disrupt the workflow. I just want it to be right there. So,
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah,
And I'm not a
Yeah.
huge fan of or at least the older Automap. And Automap doesn't always work the same in
right,
every program. So
right.
I kind of am looking for another solution that kind of does the same thing but in a different way.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
about you, Mike? How do you feel about that kind of stuff?
Actually, the thing I was most surprised about it is now there is Alesis, there is M Audio, and there's Akai. It's all the same brand, right? But in the
yeah,
past, it usually was like Alesis is like their entry level stuff, price wise and quality wise. Then you have M Audio, which is kind of the mid range, and then the Akai Pro series was always the best quality they had. So now they come up with all three brands come up with the Akai software, with the advanced software. But now all the keyboards, when I look at it, they have the same price point. So that was what I was really surprised, and I don't really can understand it. Now you guys could touch the M Audio stuff. Did it catch up the quality of Akai? Are
I
there any differences between the advanced keyboards and the new M Audio and Alesis stuff?
Well, I
Because
think the M
I didn't.
Audio had like faders on it. Like, if I'm remembering right, like
mm,
that
mm.
new control joint had like some faders and some
Yeah,
extra
it's got
knobs, and it didn't have the big fat knobs on it like the Kai. Like, it's a little different layout, but they all use that VIP software, which is kind of turning into its own entity. Like, it's not
Yeah.
it's just like it's part of in music, but it's just VIP software, and they're running it on all their controllers now. So
Yeah, because I thought I'm interested in the software, and I thought maybe now I could get like an Alesis or an M Audio a little bit cheaper so I can have a look at it. But now when I check the prices, they are now pretty close to or exactly the same. I can't remember exactly, but they're
yeah,
pretty close in the same range, and I was wondering about that.
yeah.
Man, I think Willie's falling asleep over there, man.
yeah. Well,
You talking about software, man.
Willie did have a chance to play with that stuff, so let's get your thoughts on that, man.
Who, me?
No, Willie,
Oh.
On what?
on the Akai stuff and M Audio. You were over there. You played on it, even though you want to admit or act like you didn't even look at anything else.
I really dig the Akai software, especially from a sound design point, because I was actually over there with Andy, and he was showing me how they handled their expansions versus other people handling their expansions. So I was really digging that. So I'll probably be jumping into that arena here in a minute. And
Yeah, they
hopefully,
make it easy, man. They make it easy for people to work with them too. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
So I was like, the way they have it tagged out, I'm kind of digging the whole library and browser aspect.
mm,
Um, like supremely easy. Like if you got auto sampler, he gave me the layout, and I was like, well, I could just put this off an auto sampler, and it'll do most of the work for me. And all I got to do is put it off into the software, and it categorizes and does everything else for you. You just basically pack the expansion.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah,
That's dope.
extremely easy.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance while you were over there to look at the M Audio keyboards?
Nah, I didn't. I
they
pretty
only,
much, yeah.
from what I've seen, they only have one though. Like, that's the thing. Like, there's only a 49 key, and that's it.
Well, you know what? To be perfectly honest with you, from the last major release that they did, I forget what the name of that series was, but when I remember walking up to those at NAMM and they were god awful. I mean,
The Air series.
yeah,
I
God,
remember that.
they were
Yeah,
just nasty. I was not okay with those at all.
yeah.
Kind of to Mike's point, I wanted to get you guys' opinion because when it comes to M Audio, it's M Audio, it's Akai, and what's the third one?
Unless
Alesis?
Alesis, that's right. So,
And Newmark.
do you think these keyboards come down to more of like who they're marketing them towards instead of maybe quality? because I know Akai, you know, you start talking about Akai keyboards, you're generally targeting urban
Right.
and you know EDM possibly,
Hmm.
I think
and then M audio maybe more of your you know studio musician, and I mean I don't know, that's why I mean I
I'll tell you what the way that I view the branding right now, because yeah, they're all owned by In Music, and the way that it looks like right now is Akai is they're both urban and higher end kind of area.
hmm,
It's like a little bit of both, and then
okay,
M Audio is kind of like mid range, like even prosumer. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's they got some decent stuff in there. So it's kind of that mid range. And unfortunately, and I say this unfortunately because I like a lot of their old stuff, but Alesis seems to be their budget brand now.
hmm,
Yeah. What
Most
about
of the Alesis
Ion?
stuff seems to be pretty, yeah, and Ion, but
Yeah, I think Ion is like the straight entry level stuff.
yeah, and
right,
Ion is also their DJ low end, and then they
Yeah.
have Newmark, which is their mid range, and then they have Denon, which
Yeah.
is their high end professional DJ stuff. So.
Yeah.
Which the Denon stuff was there. I did see some of the Denon stuff, and they've got some really nice turntables, and they Denon always has cool stuff, man. I
Yeah,
personally really
that
like Denon.
that new flagship DJ mixer they presented there, it looks really really dope.
Yeah, they've got some great DJ gear. And I'm not yeah, I don't hate on Denon at all. I like their stuff. So
Yeah, I just walk right past that stuff, man.
yeah,
I don't DJ and I have no interest in the DJ stuff, so I couldn't even you can ask me any question about that, I couldn't tell you anything.
St. Joe is not hip hop. You heard it here first.
Hey,
hey, I'm with you,
if I
Joe.
if
I
if I
mean,
gotta be a DJ, if I gotta be a DJ to be hip hop, then I'm not hip hop because I do not DJ at all. Like
yeah,
that stuff,
same
I
here,
look at
man.
that stuff and I just be like, oh, okay, that's cool. I keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
let me mention one other Akai product that I saw. So Akai released a new turntable,
yep,
and that turntable is not hip hop. I'll say that.
yeah,
That turntable, it's a belt drive turntable. Like they have two different finishes. One of them is like a wood grain kind of finish. It's nice enough looking, and it's straight up just a listener's playroom
yeah,
Yeah,
device.
yeah. That's what
yeah,
it's for. Like it's got
yeah.
Bluetooth on it. Like it's got
Yeah,
Bluetooth built
yeah,
into it.
and I think they do.
Yeah,
They have some
Yeah,
digitization
They're trying to
software.
get the resurgence because vinyl's having a big resurgence right now. So they're
yeah.
just trying to market those people that want to play vinyl, probably. You
Right,
know.
right,
It
right.
feels like
Yeah.
a hip
Yeah.
table or something like that. Like to me, but to be perfectly honest with you, at the price point and everything, no, give
How
me
much
like
was
a
it?
used 1200.
How much was it?
Uh, I want to say off the top of the head, it was like somewhere in the $300 range, something like that. Like it wasn't cheap.
Yeah. See, I'm not spending. I'm see. Yeah. If I want to play a record, I'm going to like the flea market or something to get me just a little cheap, turntable. Cause
Well, that was the
again,
thing is like if you're marketing it towards hip hop guys who aren't DJs, don't want to scratch at all, and just want to sample,
yeah.
then
I
I
think,
feel like
and
the
I,
price point would have to be crazy low.
I kind of think that's what it is, though. I don't think they're marketing it as a DJ turntable at
Yeah, I
all.
don't either. No, no,
Yeah.
but
I think
but
it's
honestly, I would nobody recommend a belt-driven turntable for sampling
mm-mm.
because you got
Why?
so many
That's
because
what I
after a
started with.
while
That's what I started
the,
with.
the, the ribbon gets loose after 1 year or 2 years, and then you get tempo varieties in it, so it
Well,
makes it even harder
No, yeah. I mean, I'm really asking. I'm really asking. Like,
Well, let me
yeah.
explain. Let me explain the real nitty gritty of it of why a belt driven turntable is a horrible idea for a sampling turntable is you would think see belt drives tend to be lower for a lower price point you're able to get low noise ratio
right.
compared to a direct drive that has to be a really high price point to have a low noise on it and wow and flutter and all that. But the problem is that you would think, oh well, a sampler is just putting a record on and sampling it, and they're not touching the record. That's
Yeah,
not
you
true
moving
at
it
all.
around and all this stuff.
The
Yeah.
bottom line is that when you're sampling, especially in a hip hop context, you're putting your hand on the record just to hold it in place, just to stop the record. Not
Yeah.
hitting stop and play, but actually just stopping the record with your hand for a while and then letting
Right.
go to sample apart. And your hands are on the record a lot. A
Yeah.
belt drive, when you do that, the belt tends to go slack, and
Ah.
it's not good for sampling. It's
Right.
just not.
Got
You
you.
know what I mean?
Cool.
Belt
Okay.
drives are you put the record on, you long play it, and you don't touch it.
Right.
Right. That makes
I,
sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
So anyway, we'll move on to
Hold
some
on, hold
other
on. While we
gear.
still on the DJ stuff, what about that new Mark dashboard?
Oh, the Newmark dashboard they had at Media Day, and that was kind of cool. So basically, it allows you to run Serato, and you can pack your laptop away, and it gives you three displays right in front of your turntables that'll show you your each turntable's waveform and your browser list and all that good stuff. And it'll show like your turntable spinning on there and everything. So you don't need a laptop looking like you're checking email. It just kind of
right.
sits in front. It's just a dashboard. That's all it is.
Right.
And yeah,
That's
man,
kind of
that
dope.
that was actually for
Yeah.
DJs that looked really useful.
That's kind of dope. Yeah.
Yeah, so hey Mike, why don't you go down the list as far as what the next thing you wanted to see?
Okay. Oh yeah, I got one more thing. Now the AX73 reissue rumor was not approved. So another thing I was very disappointed about is the Waldorf Kassettenspieler we talked last episode. Like the
Yeah,
Mellotron emulation. I was so much hoping for that, but it seems to be like a hoax too, right?
Yeah. I did see a micro Mellotron though from the Mellotron, the people that actually make the Mellotron.
did
Yeah.
you get a price
But
point
it's
on
like
that?
that thing is like $900.
Hmm.
Their micro is
But I mean, I
not
can't even
micro
I
money.
can't, I can't even say that I still don't want it. Like, but I like Mellotron sound, man. It's just like a nice little,
Yeah,
the
me
screens
too.
on it, everything on it like it felt good. The quality felt good. It sounded good,
But
and
can you load your own sounds to it? I guess
I don't.
not.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it's just the
Yeah.
stuff that they put in there. But
That was
um,
that was got my attention with the
yeah,
cassette and
yeah,
spieler.
yeah.
Yeah,
That was so dope.
speaking of failed rumors, the whole Roland thing. You
Man,
know what I mean? It's like, wow,
man,
I went back, because all this kind of started on Gear Sluts, right? So I went
yeah,
back and
Because
just to
that's a
see
great
how bad they would be roasting this guy by now,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and he had actually already chimed in and given a formal response. He said he apologized to Roland. He apologized to everyone in the Gear Sluts thread, and said he would basically never post there again. And that was the last of his posts. So everybody was pretty gentle on him. They let him
You know what I'll
get
say
out
to
of
that,
it.
man. Listen. Just because it wasn't there doesn't mean it's not in development.
No, well, that
No,
he said that. He did see. He said that. He said that. He apologized for not for saying anything in the first place, because he said he shouldn't have did that. And then he did say he still said they're still working on it. It is a real product. So, but he
yeah.
apologized.
I
So,
mean, I don't doubt that it's coming, but they've been working on something forever, man. Like
yeah.
we've always heard of stuff that they were at that was literally in the works and then get scratched. So it's like
Right.
until I see it, I don't care. Like Ken knows, like we've been running up to Roland for years. Like that used to be the first place we would run, man.
That was
And
like
Right.
three. That was like
I didn't
three
even go
years
up there.
running. We would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I asked you, Bryce, I'm like, yo, you was like, yeah, I went up there. There's nothing there. I'm like, well, I kind of figured that because nobody was talking about it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was like
Yep.
they're like, up on the third floor. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So.
But
I'll
let's
say
talk a
that.
little bit about the positive surprises. Um, you guys had the chance to touch the Matrix Brood, which
Yeah.
I think is the winner of the Best Product Award from NAMM this year. I think
Yep.
it looks so good. So you guys played with it. What do you think about it?
That, yeah. Exactly
Man.
what you think is what it is.
Really?
I want to let other people talk for a second.
Yeah. I mean, no,
Absolutely
I
amazing.
think I think it's dope. I wish for me, for the price, I wish the knob like they have like two really high end knobs on there, and I wish that they use more of those on the build of the thing. Like instead of using the mini brute, micro brute knobs and faders, I wish they would have used more premium faders because it's like what $2,000.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you
But I mean,
asked about them knobs though, Joe. He said you wouldn't like the price increase if they used the other knobs throughout the whole build.
well then my thing is don't put any premium ones on there. Then don't tease me. Like don't do
Yeah.
that. Because now it don't it looks like a hodgepodge now. Because you got like two of them really dope knobs, and then everything else is not. And it's like, man, I really wish the rest of them were like this. Or like I
Yeah,
would be
yeah, yeah,
better if they just didn't have those at all instead of just
yeah,
teasing me with like just a couple. But I mean
yeah,
that kind of that part kind of that's something I had an issue with. And then I feel like there's something about the actual finish of the. I was talking to Justin Myrex about it. There's something about the finish, man, that I feel like it should be just all black to match the actual black metal of the bottom part of the keyboard, and
mm,
it has more of that. I mean, it looks like the Brutes. It
it
has more of a
does.
blackish bluish, but something about it
Right.
just feels off
Yeah,
compared
yeah,
to the
yeah.
rest of the body. Like
I,
it looks off to me. But
I would agree.
yeah, sound wise, it seems dope. Functionality wise, it seems dope.
Seems dope.
And
Yeah,
yeah, like for me, that's definitely something. Like you guys know me. Like I'm looking at Willie and Bryce and Flux and all those wires, and I go crazy. So it's like
yeah,
I would like to have something like that for the modulation, and then not have to see all those wires hanging out. So yeah, I dig it. But
yeah. Well, for me, the Matrix Brute, the build quality is the first thing that kind of got my attention because for it being so big, you're kind of expecting. I don't know. I guess in the photo, it looks like the build when I saw it in person, it didn't reflect the photo I saw, the initial photo. So
yeah. And
you
for
know,
me, man, I think the faceplate has a lot to do with it. Like,
right?
not I mean, we're talking about the knobs and stuff, but honestly, man, I think like if it just had a straight black metal faceplate,
Right.
like the
Yes.
actual body of the keyboard, it
Yeah.
would look. It just
Yeah.
something seems off between the keyboard, the metal part of the keyboard, and the
And
faceplate of the synth.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
if something feels off, but
Yeah, so that was the first
I'll
thing that
keep
got
my
my
notes.
attention. That was the
Yeah,
first thing that got my attention was that, just like you said, the plate and the knobs. And then the
yeah,
second thing that was kind of got my attention was the fact that it's not a big poly. So when I see something that big, I'm automatically thinking, okay, this is going to be like an 8 voice or something.
man, we
Which
all know you want an eight voice.
yeah,
We know
yeah,
you want
yeah,
an eight
yeah,
voice. Like
yeah.
we all know that. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
so so yeah, that was the little disappointment for me. But
yeah,
I know you guys coming from the Voyagers and stuff like that.
yeah,
Something with three oscillators is dope. So, but for
yeah.
me,
No, yeah.
the little disappointment was that it wasn't a big poly. So,
Right,
but
right.
dope routing, dope sound. I think it's going to do really well. A lot of people are going to like it, especially with that have modular synths or want to shoot CD to other gear. I think they're
Yeah,
really going to enjoy it. And that modulation matrix really has a lot of flexibility and a lot going on. So
yeah,
What's your thoughts, Willie?
I'm buying it.
yeah.
I'm just gonna put it out there.
Right.
I'm going to be in my studio.
Yeah,
Anybody that really knows me knows I've had almost every synth that's been out
yeah,
in the past 3 years.
yeah.
And
There's no question.
yeah, they've all made it fixed.
Yeah, you've had all the sense. You've had all the sense, and then we end up benefiting from that because you. So we end up getting at some point.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, when it hits and when it touches
Yeah,
down on this desk, man, it ain't leaving.
yeah.
Like,
You know,
I,
so,
I can feel y'all about the finish and all that, man, but the
oh yeah,
function
I want it. Yeah, I still want it. No doubt. Like yeah,
balance, man, the Matrix, that the price point alone, the Matrix justifies the price point alone to me.
yeah,
And then
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
filters,
yeah.
man,
Yeah. Now, Willie, let me ask you this, man. Is that going to pretty much replace your micro brute, kind of? Are you gonna?
oh
You
yeah,
gonna?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah.
I got the Beach Step Pro over here too, so like I'll let, nah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I
let
hear
me
you, man.
let me
Yep.
let me hop in. I'll give you a couple of different thoughts. I think Joe makes a good point about the knobs. But what I'll say, I don't want more of those premium knobs. The only thing I would have more asked for is maybe the micro brute, mini brute knobs that are used
Yeah,
just were redesigned.
yeah,
Because they were
Yeah.
very similar. I just
Yeah.
don't. I
I
don't
don't mind.
think
Yeah,
it meshes for that layout as much.
right.
It
That's what I'm
wasn't to
saying.
me. It didn't feel bad, but
Yeah,
it like I don't know, like I
I
just
don't think it felt bad. I'm talking about look. I'm talking straight
Yeah,
look, man. Like
yeah
that,
yeah
because that thing looks like a beast. So it's like
but it has
even
that.
if they were
Yeah,
yeah, like even if they were smaller, different types of knobs, like just to have those two really fancy metal knobs, and then the rest are rubber. It's like
it has
you
that
know,
hodgepodge. It has that
yeah,
hodgepodge
I'm
feel.
not gonna
And
Definitely.
complain
what I'll
about it.
also
Yeah.
say is the other thing about it was, so I when I went up to Glenn Darcy, like there's a video up on my channel where I interview him, and that interview was me, no preparation. I just kind of walked up. I was like, I know I want to see it. I didn't have to prepare because I'm interested in it. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
I just want to know what I want to know. Who cares about the copy? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Let me know what I want to know. So
right,
I walk up to him and I introduced myself. I had met him a couple other times, but I didn't expect him to remember me or anything. But he kind of knew from other videos that I had done about the Brutes, and I know the Brutes sound extremely well. I know a lot about the Brutes because I've taken them apart and played with them.
yeah,
Um, so the first thing that I wanted to know is, because of the price point, I wanted to know, is it real wood? And it
exactly.
is real wood. Like,
Yep.
it's real wood. It's actually thick metal on these things,
Yeah.
and it's a whole new manufacturer. Like,
Mhm.
that was a big part because I have the key labs in here, and
Yeah.
I'm very aware of the issue of some of the key labs. Some of the earlier key labs were having keys break, and they
Mhm.
said that they've now switched manufacturer. That's no longer an issue, and this this product is using a whole new manufacturing process. And Willie actually came up and was the first one to do it and grab it and just
Yeah.
start lifting it. He wanted to feel how
Willie was just intimidating every manufacturer at NAMM. We'll
yeah.
get into that
Willie,
in a minute. We'll get
Yeah,
to that in a
yeah,
minute.
yeah,
But
yeah,
he,
yeah.
yeah,
And then Willie's like, man, yo, you got to feel this.
yeah.
So I
Hey,
grabbed
man,
it.
that thing was heavy.
I went,
Yeah, yeah.
and I got the guns up here. So I
of
went to
course, of
lift it,
course.
and I was like, oh, wait a
Yeah.
second. Like,
And then
it actually,
Bryce went up. Bryce went up. He's like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not really heavy. It's cool.
yeah, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's like,
Bryce is rocking them 32-inch pythons.
yeah,
Man,
But
man.
yeah, so I felt it, and I was like, wow, this thing actually feels substantial. And the keys actually felt really good too.
yeah.
Whereas I was very concerned about the keys. I'll be honest with you. I hate the keys on the Mini
Did
Brute.
you
I was
did you feel
not a
like the
fan of
key
them.
action was a little light, a little bit light?
It's
Yeah.
very synthy. So
Yeah,
it's not like a Moog key bed that is
yeah,
synthy, but is has like strong spring in it.
yeah. Okay,
It's
yeah.
more like to be honest, it felt more like the Ultra Nova keypad, where it's like it's
Hmm.
kind of a lighter spring action talk,
Right.
but it didn't have a lot of, like, on the Mini Brute and even the key labs, you can kind of shake the keys left and right, and I hate
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
This one, it didn't have a lot of that shake, so the actual key bed felt much better, and
Right.
that was a major concern to me because I was not about to drop $2,000 on a synth and then have the key bed feel like trash, especially
Yeah.
when it takes up that much room. In that case, you would rather just have a module, you know?
Right. Right.
Um, the other thing that I noticed about it, as soon as I went up to it, was it has an e-ink screen on it. And I was like, what is what is that whole idea? Like,
Yeah.
I'd never seen a synth with an e-ink
No.
screen. And he
Yeah.
explained to me basically, um, the whole idea behind that was end of life, meaning
Yeah.
that they're like, one of their top priorities for this thing was long-term build quality, because they
Right.
knew that their price point was going to be a lot higher and they didn't want to be having these issues. So they
Hmm.
put an e-ink screen on it that won't fail, after like 6 or 7 years. This is a screen that's going to last forever, and you're not going to have any issues with it. So I thought it was really nice to see that kind of forethought. So as I'm talking to him, he's kind of like, when we talk to the different product guys at NAMM, both on and off camera,
Yeah.
you get a sense of whether or not they care about a product. You get a sense of
Right.
whether or not it's a passion product, a money product, or maybe a little bit of both or whatever.
Yeah.
When I was talking to Glenn, I tell you right now, this is a passion product. Like,
Yeah.
he was beaming with joy about this thing, and
Yeah.
that's even with the fact that these were prototypes that had just come from the factory, so they didn't have any sound design in them. There was no
Yeah.
presets. The filters were not done. So
Right.
Steiner Parker filter with the 24 dB, that was in place. but the ladder style filter, the transistor ladder filter, didn't have the Q compensation on it.
Yeah. Right.
And they were still willing to show it, even with that. He was just like, which, if you're not familiar with that, if you play with a Moog Workstat or a Moog Mother 32, they don't have Q compensation on their ladder filters either.
Yeah.
But something like a Sub Fatty or a Sub 37 does.
Yeah. Expand. Look, so it's probably people asking what that means. So go ahead and explain what that does for the low. For the low,
it
you
goes
gotta
up,
do
it
it.
goes down.
No. Nick, don't be trying. Don't be trying to
Turn it
skip.
left and right too. Don't
Yeah,
be
yeah.
going super tough.
So
Listen, these guys were
explain how's that.
grasping on me because I was trying to
Explain how that impacts the low end. Like
So
explain what that
so
does.
basically,
Yeah.
when you turn the resonance up, the low end will drop out if it's not Q compensated. The resonance will actually suck away the
Right.
and, what he told us is that is actually going to be part of that filter design. They are going to normalize that Q so that when the resonance comes up, you don't lose that low
Yeah.
end. So it's meaning it's a higher quality
Yep.
Moog style ladder filter,
Yeah.
which is really good.
Yeah.
The matrix of jacks on the back.
Yeah.
Jeez, like I was so excited about the way that this thing is set up, with the mod matrix, with the step sequencer, really the whole thing
The
actually
presets.
in use
Yeah.
was great. Like the layout, I played with a lot of synths, and I'll tell you what, the Matrix Brute, in my opinion, it's huge, but it's way less intimidating if you just step back and look at
No,
it.
I gotta
because-
agree, man. I gotta agree. Like when you first see it, you will be like, man, what is going? Like you think it's a lot, but once you go up there, like the layout and the thought process behind everything is really dope. Like, I don't go as deep into sense like you for sure. And but when I got in front of that thing, it's like, yo, everything makes sense. Like the way you can assign the oscillators
Right.
to the filters and the way you can route the filters and all the modulation, everything made sense. Like there wasn't one thing on there that I was like, I don't understand.
That
It was
was,
like,
I
you
think
know,
that was that early comparison to the Synthy, when
yeah,
how the Synthy has the little jacks with
yeah,
the pegs,
right,
so that I think that was that comparison, doing that, because some people were saying it's like the Synthy,
yeah,
and I was like, Synthy, but thinking back on
yeah,
it after Ken commented when he was talking to Glenn Darcy, and then it came back to me. Oh, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah,
yeah,
The
but
Matrix
the
and how.
difference is that when people talk about a Synthy, they're usually like, oh, it's like this mystical beast that nobody understands, and this and
yeah,
that, and it's so complicated. Whereas this, to be honest with you, it's better laid out than even, so the OB6, which we'll get into, was at the show. I found the Matrix Brute, honestly, like I like the layout of it more. Like it was more just
man, it was
immediately
dope.
like
It was
you just
dope.
boom, boom, boom.
The layout is dope. Like the layout, and again, like for somebody that is considering modular stuff, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think even just that alone is a great introduction to modular and routing and
Yeah.
affecting different things just by
Yep.
just with that matrix, and then that leads into all other types of stuff because it's like you get that same type of experimentation where you can just go in and send this here, and I love the fact that they got those 4 rows that you can assign to whatever. Like
Yeah.
they have all the preset modulation, but then they have those 4 where you can just hold the button and touch whatever. And yeah, no, I think they did a good job, man. I
Yeah,
can't wait to
yeah.
get my hands on it, dude.
Now,
Like,
now that you mentioned that, Joe, it's a stepping point into modular, because that's basically
yeah,
what it is with that matrix. So
yeah, man.
it's like a cableless
Yeah,
modular synth is what
And that's
what
how
it
yeah,
really kind of is, with a keyboard,
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
that's
again,
that's perfect for you. Yeah,
exactly, because like
that's
I'm always like I want to do some modular stuff, but I want to
but you
play it.
want
Like I want to
keys
have a keyboard.
exactly. Yeah,
So
Uh,
yeah.
that, yeah,
I got a
that,
question. I got a question about the matrix. Is it possible to use one source and route it to multiple destinations?
I believe it
Yes,
is.
yes,
Yep,
it is.
Wow, that's
yep,
dope.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I believe I want to say it's 4 destinations, but well, no, actually, excuse me, no, it can be a whole lot more than that. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
you
positive.
just
Yeah. So you can just be punching buttons all day long. I mean, like
that's crazy, man. That thing is
That's
crazy. And then I like the way, the whole amount, like where you adjust it with the knob, like, you hit the,
hmm
the modulation and you just turn the knob. Like Willie would say, you turn it left or you turn it right. And that's it. Like you touch
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
boom, boom, and you good.
Yeah,
Like
good point. Good point.
I
Good
think it's
point.
dope, man.
Yeah.
I think they really did a dope job, and
Yeah.
no, I think it's crazy, man.
So
I
I
can't
don't
wait to
want to
play with it.
I don't want to spend too much time on it. I'm just gonna say one last thing about it, and that's about the actual sound of it.
Yeah.
So when I played it, here's what I can really best describe about it. We talked a while back about a polyphonic brute, and I had
Mhm.
said I don't think it would make sense because the mini brute by itself with a single oscillator is such a complex sound that
Yeah.
it didn't really make sense to me to do a polyphonic brute like that. Here's what I'll say about this: with having three of those bad boys in there, it's it's got to be the most alive sounding three oscillator monosynth I've heard. Like it
Right.
just it's a cliche type term to use, but it's so accurate. Like that thing sounds alive. The difference with this and with the other brutes is that these knobs, while they look like the mini brute knobs, are not the same because these are actually it's all digitally controlled. So
Yeah.
it's not, whereas on the brutes it's all analog control. But I will tell you, it loses nothing on that. It's those oscillators sound totally like alive and analog,
Yeah.
and like I was actually really surprised by that, and that's what sold me instantly. Like I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, this, like, it didn't make me want to go and say, well, I have to plug a modular oscillator into it, or else I'm not going to get the sound that I really want.
Yeah. No,
It's
it
going to
was
sound
dope,
too
man.
controlled. I didn't
Yeah.
feel like that at all. Like I felt like it was just like the real deal. And yeah, like
I really love the addition. I really love the addition of the ladder filter in there, man. Like
yeah,
for my style, for me, man. Like being able to mix those two, really just I don't know, man. I just think it's dope. But we can move on. But
yeah,
I
we'll
just think
move
it's
on
dope.
I
because
think that's dope too because um my problem with or it's not really a problem, but the micro root, I love to play with it, but the actual sound of it
Yeah.
doesn't really fit my production. I
Mm.
Exactly.
love to play
Yeah.
with it, but it's so hard and
Aggressive.
harsh
Yeah.
and
Yep.
aggressive,
Yeah.
yeah, in the
Yep.
sound. It's not really fitting. So with the ladder filter, I
Yeah.
think it could be a huge improvement.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
one
that's
thing I
really
didn't
cool.
ask, one thing I didn't ask, and I'm kind of kicking myself just now thinking about it, is whether so you could make it go series and parallel. But what I didn't ask is what that order is. I believe it goes
It's
Steiner then
He said,
ladder.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it
You did
is.
ask it. He answered it in your video.
Yeah,
Like
he did. You
Oh,
asked him.
the Steiner is first. The Steiner is first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, yeah, and that's perfect. And like I said,
Yeah.
I did it. I did that interview off the top of the head, so it wasn't
That
like
interview was dope. That was the
I
best
don't
one.
think. Yeah, it was a really good interview. I don't think you asked him, but he addressed that. I remember him
Yeah.
specifically saying that. Yeah.
Yep.
excellent.
And, but one more last thing on this Matrix Brute is if you're planning on getting it, you better clear out a lot of space because that joint is
It
huge.
is
Yeah.
huge.
It is huge.
That joint is massive.
Yeah.
Finally, another huge synth and not a tiny mini
Yes.
key
Yeah.
style of synth. I dig that. I
You know what
appreciate
it's
Yeah.
it.
more reminiscent of, even more so, because there's a lot of comparisons to the Voyager and all that, but even more so than that is what was the old Waldorf one? The Wave,
Oh yeah.
the
Yeah.
giant wall. It's more
Yeah.
reminiscent
Yeah.
of that. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, I had them fold it down, and when it
Yeah.
Woo.
folds flat, it's
Bro.
crazy sexy
It
flat
looks like
too.
that
Like,
thing's a beast, man.
It looks.
It's a
It's like a
beast.
bed. You could lay on that thing. It's
all right,
so
so let's
good,
take
man.
a quick vote. Let's take a quick vote. How many of us here are legitimately like, yo, I'm gonna get that?
I'm not getting it.
I
I
think
can tell you right now.
I'm
not.
getting it. It doesn't have enough voices for Bryce, but I'm getting it.
Yeah. I'm not getting it. First of all, it's too big. It's just too big for
Yeah.
my. I have no room.
Yeah.
For
That's
me.
my problem too. But I think
Mike's
I
gonna have
will.
one. Mike's gonna have one. He's gonna engineer the space properly. He's gonna measure it
Yeah.
out like he always does, and he's gonna have one.
The thing
Like,
is, I think it's so good. I will probably make room for it.
see,
So
like I said,
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Nah, I feel you.
yeah, you
But
already know I'm getting one.
I'm
Man.
gonna pass on it. I'm gonna pass on it. I know it's gonna be dope. But I'm gonna pass on this one.
You
Okay,
say so
so
now.
Willie?
But
He's gonna
talking,
pass for now. Just give him a minute though.
That's
Once
what I said.
he has it in their studio, he'll have one
And
too.
we didn't even talk about how they do the paraphony, which is way deeper than most people
Hey,
do. You know, I'll tell you right now. Look, I got 3 kids. I don't need these things anymore. I sell them.
Yeah.
I'm getting it. Like, I don't
It's
care what I
it's
gotta
going
do.
right there. It's going right there where the Moog is. Right, Ken. Right
Yeah,
there.
honestly, yeah. And you know what? I don't even want for a sub 37 because I like the simplicity of the sub fatty so much. Um, and this is like it will stay in my setup. But I gotta be honest with you, man. Yeah, it's like you said, I'm gonna have to engineer something because even like when it can't lay flat in my setup, so it'll
Oh
have to
yeah.
be open. And if it's laid open, then it'll block a patch bay. It'll block a few. I'm gonna figure something out, but it's
Right.
happening.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
already
now,
got a space for it. I ain't even gonna lie.
Yeah.
now
I
one
cleared out
more
space as soon as
question.
I got home.
I don't even,
Hey,
I don't even want to put it on top of the
Will,
roof because it'll be too far away from me. Like I want that thing, like I want to be on that thing, like nonstop.
Now,
So
Flux, question. Now, since it's digital control, does it send out MIDI now?
I didn't ask, but I believe it does. I believe it can be a complete MIDI controller. I think he had said something to me about that because, yeah, I believe you can have it as a straight out MIDI controller. Also, it also has macro knobs that you can assign as well,
Ooh, that's
down
dope.
in the controller section. And it has that little headphone jack. Oh God, there's so much about it that I like.
yeah.
There's a
Okay,
lot of haters
you
out there
just told me.
that.
Yeah.
So like you guys can hate all you want and Matrix for me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like for real.
More
Uh,
bourbon, more bourbon, more bourbon. Oh, God.
Now
Man.
another big synth with which looks really dope is the Tom Oberheim teamed up with Dave Smith again, and they releasing the OB6. What do you guys think about that?
Willie's getting that too.
You getting that, Willie? You getting that, Willie?
I ain't getting that one.
Oh man. Okay.
I
Wow.
like it better than the Prophet 6, although there's
No.
similarity there, and I know I'm probably the only one on the panel right now that will say that, but I like a good kind of horny type filter, and I'm just saying, like, it makes some
Oh,
trap sounds for me.
we
Right,
know you.
right,
We know you like filters, man. We know.
right, right,
I
right.
got 13 of them over here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, I played it, and this was my first time playing the P6 as well. Like I didn't get a chance to play it last year because everybody was around it. So this is my first time playing both of those in person. And personally, for my style of sound, I preferred the P6. Like
Yep.
it
Yeah.
just had more of
That was
a
exactly my thought too.
vintage analog, just warm, gooey sound to it. And I think that's fine because they're different. Like they have
Mhm.
different characteristics, and it felt like the OB was a little bit more aggressive, a little bit. It almost had more of a digital quality to it for my preference. Like no doubt it's a dope synth. Like don't get me wrong, it's a dope synth, but for me, if I would have to choose between either one, I would go with the P6. And I honestly fell in love with the P6 when I was there, which sucks because now I'm really trying to figure out how I can get one in my setup, and that's bad. That's bad. So
Bryce,
yeah,
what were your thoughts on the OB6?
Um. Basically kind of just like Joe said, man. It's it's a lot like the P6.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to one of the reps there, and he said basically what they did was obviously it has the SEM filters, and then the voices, the oscillators are Dave Smith's,
Mm-hmm.
basically the same in the P6. But if I'm not mistaken, he said the routing, some
yeah,
of the routing of the oscillators that you can do with the oscillators come from the Oberheim way of thought, the Oberheim school of thought. So it was
yeah,
like his design style went into that aspect of the oscillators routing there.
yeah. The
And
architecture.
the
Yeah,
art, there you go. Yeah, and so
Mm-hmm.
that may be what gives it that kind of that digital or that more aggressive sound. But I
yeah,
mean, like if I was going to buy either, if I was looking at both those, I would definitely go P6. Not only because it's $200 cheaper and it has a nicer sound, but I'm not too interested in uh, the Oberheim SEM filter. It doesn't really drive me bananas like it does a lot of people. So.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is I actually really love it, and I've been really into that filter and that sound. That was actually an SEM module was the very first module
Yeah.
that I ever bought for my Eurorack because I love that sound so much. But and I had heard rumors about this thing before it came out. I kept my mouth fairly shut about it, but I didn't.
Which is hard for Flux. No, I'm playing.
No,
Flux and keeping his mouth shut. No. But,
yeah, I mean, like I had heard from some confident people that there was a likely possibility of it, and I was I'm not disappointed, but at the same time I was like I kind of and I feel this way a lot of the times with Dave Smith products is like he'll do like a slight change between two products and it makes it so hard to choose between those two products. Like they're
yeah.
two totally different products, but they share a lot of boundaries and you're just like, "Oh, which one?" But I will honestly admit for what those things are, I'm still more in the Pro 6 camp and that to me like I like that sound and style.
Mhm.
Um, the knobs were a little different, and I kind of like the other knobs more. The Pro
Yeah.
6 knobs more, and I know Bryce. I don't think you were a big fan of the old Oberheim blue lines.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
So
Yeah, the look of
and
it. The
that's a
look,
cool
it
thing,
just, yeah.
but
No,
the
I
look
feel
of it,
you. I
but
feel
just
you.
like how I painted my studio green, like my studio's neon green because it's an inspiring color. If you
Yeah.
don't like the way something looks, it
Yep.
really can affect the way that you work, and
I
I
Yeah,
agree.
feel like that should never be belittled.
No, I agree.
Bob Moog
right.
was a
I'm
proponent
huge on
of
that, man.
things have to sound a
Yeah.
certain way or feel a certain way and look a certain way,
And
and
Yeah.
that kind of speaks to a lot because that's a vintage paint scheme. So
Yeah.
it tells you who they're trying to appeal to. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're
Yeah.
definitely not trying to be a modern. It does have SEM filters, and of course it's Oberheim, but they're not trying to appeal to a modern
Yeah.
musician. They're trying to appeal to the guys that appreciate the vintage older Oberheim stuff.
Right.
I'll tell you. Can I tell you guys what the controversy was at NAMM?
Yeah.
What?
So there was that, of course, and then of course the week before NAMM was the mini log had dropped, and let me tell you about how I went over to Korg because I got a really nice offer on a mini log, so I said, you know what though, I'm gonna wait for NAMM, I'm gonna see what happens because even if I bought it, like I wouldn't be able to play with it until I got
Right now.
home.
Yeah.
So I went over to Korg and I played on this thing and I gave it a good go, and I was actually like, oh, I really like this thing. I was having fun, like sweeping noise and this and that, playing with the delay. I actually had fun with it. I walked straight from there back to the main spot that I stayed at, which was the modular area, and I talked to a couple of guys over there, and they all wanted to murder me. Like no one over there liked it. They were
Yeah.
Yeah.
all like, no, 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 and I, I I'd be honest with you, man. I'm not just saying it for no reason. Like I honestly liked it. I thought it
Yeah.
sounded cool. Like it to me, it had a very interesting sound. I liked it. And
Yeah.
man, if you could have seen the fire in the eyes of guys who I discussed it with when I told them that, actually no, like because they were like, oh, it has no character and you hate it, don't you? And I was just like, actually, like not really. Like it's
Yeah.
especially for the price point, but even without the price point, just with my ears, I
Right.
had fun on it. And like
Yeah.
to me, like
Yeah.
was it as thick and beefy as a lot of my other gear? No, but was it fun for me to play and
Yeah.
inspiring? Yeah, I had fun with it. That's
And
all I can tell
another
you is I
thing,
zoned
that's
out on it.
another sense that I felt like was really straightforward. Like you could
Yeah.
easily understand everything on it. It's not super deep, but it's just straightforward. It's easy to do whatever you want to do. Easy to switch through the different modes. All that different
Mhm.
stuff is really straightforward. And I like stuff like that, man. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
go
Yep.
in, do what
I
you want
intend to
to
get
do.
one because like I
Yeah.
had so much fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having had it for, since a little bit before NAMM,
Yeah,
and
so
then,
Bryce has one.
Yeah. Of
yeah, so
course.
I spent a couple, like, I'm gonna say 6 hours with it yesterday, just
Yeah.
messing around, and man, it's so inspiring. It's like you said, Joe, you can get on there and just mess around, and really everything you do is like straightforward and you understand it, and
Yeah.
it yields a nice result. Like one of the things I was doing yesterday was it has motion sequencing, so you can record in different movements and aspects.
Yeah.
So like you can record filter movements in
Yeah.
and not even play anything. So you can have your
Right.
filter already modulating
Yep.
or whatever you want, and then run the sequencer so you don't hear anything until you start playing. And then
Right.
that filter is automatically moving for you the way you want it to move. And you can do that with any other parameters. So you don't have to
Yeah.
record notes to the sequencer. You can just record motion sequencing and
Yeah.
utilize that motion sequencing with your playing style. So it's kind of that's a whole nother aspect that I was messing around with yesterday. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so much fun, man, and it's a poly analog. I mean, come on,
And
It's like,
what I dig about Korg, man, is they share their technology. Like that motion sequencing, you can do it on the Volcas. So they
right,
share it and they make it like they got the sync ports, so all their stuff syncs up. From the Volcas to the mini laws to the monotron to the electrons, like all their stuff syncs up. So it's like they're allowing you to build this ecosystem. But yeah, I think it's dope. Did y'all check out the little Volca FM thing? I didn't even
man.
see it.
I didn't get to it. I wanted to.
Do it either.
Yeah, I didn't
I
see it
think
either,
I
man.
think I'm gonna get that, man, because that's that classic DX7. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? And
Is
even
it
though
four
it's three voice. That's the
three
only
voice?
thing that
Okay.
kind of It's the
Just
only
like
thing
the
kind
vocal
of
keys. Okay.
okay. Yeah. So, but from the video I saw, the Sonic State video, it sounds awesome. Sounds really
Okay.
good.
Hold on. Real quick, Bryce. 4 Vox or mini log?
Ooh.
So Bryce just got a Eurorack modular piece called the Flame 4 Vox. He got it right about the same time that he got the mini log, maybe just before.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah, I know how
Man.
this is gonna go. So go ahead.
Jeez. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. Whew. I wouldn't even want to be put in that position, but if I
What does the
had
four?
to,
What does the four Vox do? Is it a
the
four
four,
voice? Is
yeah,
that what it
well,
is?
It
it's
goes up
four
and it
voice.
goes down.
Yeah, it goes. You can have 16 voices, so you
Ooh.
have you have four channels of four voices each, and they're
Okay.
wavetables. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, if
What?
we're talking modular, 4 box. If we're talking not modular, mini log. That's that's my answer.
Go hedging your bet.
He took the easy way out.
That's my answer.
But that's kind of different, man. Like you talking wavetables versus VCOs.
Yeah,
So
Very different.
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be without 4 box, and I really like mini log, man. It's real inspiring. It's dope, man.
That little twitch right there. I wouldn't want to be without the 4 Vox.
Yeah.
I really like the mini log. Okay, all right.
It's like we said when we were standing outside of NAMM. We were like, let me just get one knob.
Yeah. Just one knob.
We're
Yeah.
slightly addicted, but yeah. So what was the other one over there? So yeah, the Volca FM. I didn't even see it. I didn't get a chance to play it, and honestly, I didn't stay over at Korg very long. Like I
Yeah.
went over there to play the mini log. I
Me
looked
too.
around for a minute, and I saw they have they're called new tube. They had new tube preamps, which are crazy. They're like little tubes like this big. Unfortunately, it was so noisy over there that the way the setup was, like I didn't feel like I was going to be able to figure out if the new tubes actually sounded like real tubes or not.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, I'm not even going to mess with it because it's not going to make sense for me. That's something that you kind of need to experience in a quiet studio.
Right.
So
I wanted to ask
moving on
Mike
from
real
there.
quick. What was your thoughts on the Korg FM? The Volca FM, I'm sorry.
Honestly, I don't have an opinion on that because I'm not very into FM synthesis.
Gotcha.
This is one topic I want to learn this year.
Oh,
So
can
I
I make
think-
a suggestion, Mike, about
Yeah.
something that I saw at NAMM?
Yeah.
So, speaking of on FM, man, Mode Machines. They've got this DX7 programmer with like 96 knobs on it. So you could go buy an old DX7, TX7, TX8, whatever, like all those old actual Yamaha pieces of FM gear, and it actually is like a breakout for every single parameter on them in
Nice.
knob form. And I was just like, oh man, like this, it looks so crazy. So yeah, if you really want to have some fun with FM, that would be a way to go. Now the price point might hit you,
Mm.
where the boo boo is, but
Mhm.
that thing looked fun.
Yeah, definitely. Now, yeah, but as I said, I'm not into FM synthesis yet. I'm from what I heard so far from the old Yamaha sound, I'm not sure if it really fits my needs sound-wise.
Yep.
I'm not using much of bell sounds and stuff like that. And yeah, so I don't really have an opinion on that. But talking Korg, I want to ask you guys. They have new controllers, the Nano Control and the Key Studio. And in general, I want to ask you what you think about the rise of Bluetooth controllers, which I think, or I had the feeling, is becoming a big topic for this year. There are some Bluetooth controllers coming up, and what do you guys think about that?
Mm.
I think it's dope. Simply because, again, I don't like a bunch of wires. So if
Yeah.
if the latency is good, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I agree. I
That's
That's
agree.
the
my
only
main
thing.
concern though. Like
Yeah,
I don't trust them for anything, but at the same time, if the connection is solid and the latency is good, I can see it for certain tasks, not for
mhm,
all. I'm sorry, I can't see it at all for finger drumming. The way I
right.
finger drum,
Yeah,
like if it could actually hold up to my finger drumming, which I highly doubt,
yeah,
Yeah.
then I would be all for it. But like I said, I just don't. I don't
right.
believe it. I didn't get a
Yeah,
chance to finger drum on it. Like that's something that I need to set up a kit the way that my fingers work in order to really know. Um, but nothing that I've used over Bluetooth can stand up to the way that I play like hi hats and 16th notes and things like that.
yeah.
I have yet to do that. But faders, and even really even keys. I have used some keys. So I have that. I've got this. Let me grab it. This
You
guy.
got everything.
Oh, you
Yeah.
shut your face.
There's nothing you don't have.
So no, I was early adopter for these guys. This is that little MIDI over Bluetooth thing,
Yeah,
and they power off of Bluetooth or off of MIDI DIN plugs.
right.
And the software, there is an update that I haven't done yet, so I don't want to speak too rudely of it, but it's been shaky at best.
Hmm.
Um, so again, it gets back to, unless you've got a broken cable, a cable is like you don't even have to worry about it. So I know you hate cables and all, but get your feng shui on, whatever, or just be
Yeah,
a
man.
slob like me.
I can.
But
That drives me crazy, man.
Seeing
but
seeing the seeing these adapters you just showed, isn't Yamaha coming up with just like the same thing, or is it any different? I know they showed some MIDI over Bluetooth connectors, and I think they're just the same technique as the what are they called? Me Too, something like that.
yeah, something like that. It's called.
I didn't
Uh,
see the Yamaha ones. I didn't even know they had them. I did check out the montage though.
Quisso Sound, and yeah, it's called the MI.1. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I think I got it off of like Kickstarter or something like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're linked up with those guys, or it's similar technology, blah blah blah. But my point being is that at least with wires, there's no guessing. There's no
Yeah,
you don't you don't have to second guess what you're doing. But with Bluetooth, I'm always going to be a little bit shaky because I
right.
can't see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
have faith in what I can't see like that. I wish I did. But
yeah.
the other thing that I'll say about that is, so along with MIDI over Bluetooth, we're starting to see more audio over Bluetooth.
Hmm.
So I do believe that technology is going to get a lot better, and
Right.
eventually we will see a point to where it's like, oh, Grandpa uses cables. But I just don't think that's yet or within the next 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're always gonna have some type of cables, but and I think for me, like the Bluetooth stuff is more for me, like a mobile type of situation, like using with my iPad or something like that. Like
Sure.
I haven't really seen a situation where I can really implement it, but I'm for it if it can clean up a workspace, and it works, then it's not
The
something
other
I'm
thing is
opposed to
that those things
trying.
are cheap. Let's be honest. Like they're not
Yeah,
exactly. professional level controllers. Like
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
they're the nano joints. Like,
yeah,
it is what
yeah,
it is. It's worth trying, but to me, it looked more like a proof of concept.
yeah,
I'm interested in it. I got here the push. I got this on this mobile stand, on this mobile mixer stand, and
Mhm.
I hate that I have USB cable and power supply cables with it because if I move it around in my room, I got cables everywhere.
yeah,
But so I'm really looking forward for the nano control with the faders and the knobs, just as an addition to the push, without cables and just connect it via MIDI to the Mac and then use it for just the mixer. So
yeah.
I'm really interested in that.
Why don't you just tell Ableton to get on making push wireless?
Yeah, maybe a push link as a new version. That would be cool.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel
But
you.
then again, we have the problem with the finger drumming again.
Yeah, exactly. So, and let me just quickly say, we're not going to dive too deep into the modular because I am going to be doing another show later on today for the Synth Summit show that's going to
Yeah.
dive deep into everything modular. But what I will say is that the overall impression that I had when I was going around NAMM was every time I left the modular area, the excitement was like lower and like the further I got away from modular, the excitement just
Like a
dropped
it was
off.
like a heat map, like a heat map. Like
Yeah, really. And
no.
that's saying something because I remember when we used to go and modular was in the basement, and I was like, I was running to the basement to see what was there, and it was like
Yeah.
a couple of modular guys and a couple of guys who were doing guitar pedals in their garage or whatever, and that was really it. And
Yeah.
this year it was like, if you weren't in the modular section, then you didn't know what was up because that's where
Yeah.
everything was.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
dope. I mean, as a modular neophyte, so to speak, it was definitely some cool stuff. I mean, you guys know for me, the main company that made me even consider getting into modular is Studio Electronics. So like
Right.
I love this. I think they just have the best sounding filters and oscillators and everything. So, of course I had to go check them out. But I mean, there was some cool stuff like Modal with their, modules. I'm pretty sure people are going to be trying to get into that. But
Yeah.
I want to speak to the cases because again, you guys know for me it goes back to the look. I think the Waldorf case is insane. Like the
Oh
keyboard,
man,
like that
Waldorf.
thing. Yo, that thing is insane. Like that right there.
Yeah.
Did anybody figure out the
Waldorf.
price on that?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to ask. Did somebody get the price point?
I
No,
didn't even
not
get
yet.
over to Waldorf.
Man,
Again, it gets back to as you walk away from the modular area, which
yeah,
WMD, I got to give big shout out to WMD because they had like the main booth over there and they brought a lot of companies out there with them. And as you walked away from the WMD booth, it was kind of like Superman walking towards Kryptonite, and
right.
you're just getting weaker and weaker, and your knees start shaking.
Yeah,
You're like, I gotta get back to the modular.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I tried to get out to Harvest Man. I tried to get out to Sputnik. I tried to get out to Waldorf, and it got to be to a point where like, yeah, there were maps and all, but like I had so many other meetings and things going on that it was like I only had so much time in the day,
yeah.
and I'd start to look for them, and then at a point I'd be like, I'm wasting too much time. I got to get back.
Well,
There's too
I
much to
gotta
cover
say,
in this one area.
yeah, I gotta say, anytime that I lost you guys and I needed to find you, I just went over there. It's like, and I just look for the big, tall, muscular black guy standing over everybody. I'm like, oh,
That's
there we
me.
go.
That's
Yeah,
me.
of course. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, yeah. Another case that I liked, man, was I think it was called
TikTok.
no, 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 like Art for Ears or something like that.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
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 Art
yeah,
for
yeah.
Ears was
Like,
great, man.
dude, like he had some really nice, clean looking
Yeah,
wood cases that I was like, yo, if it's
yeah,
not that Waldorf, it's this, because it
yeah,
just
yeah,
And
yeah.
they expand
again,
the way that they
I,
expand. So
I
I put up a video on it, and I don't know if the rest of the people saw it, but you can start off with a small system, like you can be scared like Joe and just get like one row, and then as you realize what you just got yourself into, you're gonna have to buy 2, 3, 4 rows, and you could just have them flat pack and ship out new end corners and boats that screw together and make this big
yo,
system.
he makes ends for the electron stuff. So I'm getting some wood ends for that.
Yeah, like his
Oh,
stuff was
dope.
really great,
Yeah.
and he's really passionate about it too, which
Hmm.
shows. When you've got somebody that's really passionate about their craftsmanship,
Yeah.
he was really into it, and yeah, I told him straight out. I was like, these cases like are because I've been actually working on like building my own case and all, and I was like, these are the first cases I've seen in a minute that like have made me just want to like
Yo,
here's
the
some more.
woodworking, yeah, the woodworking
Yeah,
on them
yeah.
just so they're so clean, man. And me and Corey over there talking to him because me and him have really similar styles when it comes to just liking, clean, laid back stuff. And Corey, he was telling Corey how if you send me pictures of your house and everything, like I can match, a case to the type of woods and the type of materials that you have in your house, so it all just fits in.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
yo, yeah, it was some dope stuff. Like.
And then we met up with him later, didn't we, Ken? He was
Yeah,
at
they
okay,
were
yeah.
actually
So
nice enough. They were nice
yeah,
enough to allow us to come by. So again, shout out to the WMD crew. Like everybody over there was, they couldn't have been nicer, and they were just really friendly and really accepted us in because, truth be told, between especially Bryce, myself, and Willie, um, for the most part, we are kind of like outsiders or at least on the fringe of the modular scene because even though
Yeah.
we're really into it, there's far less of us like real hip hop heads that
Right.
are modular
right,
guys. But it's
right,
nice
right,
to see
right.
that like everybody was just like really getting together really well, and
Yeah, yeah,
we had a really great time.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the other case that I wanted to talk about, well, two real quick. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna touch on it. Pittsburgh has redone their cases and their power, especially, and
Uh,
Yeah.
they're doing like 6 amps with their power supply now. So
Dang.
that was my biggest
Yeah.
gripe with the Pittsburgh case
Whoo.
was their power supply, and it
hmm
looks like they've solved that issue. And their new cases are like these like ash-looking wood like
Yeah.
pieces, and they look really cool. And then Tip Top, who I tried to get an interview with, and every time I went there, nobody was there for me to actually talk to.
Yeah.
But they've got these new like composite plastic cases, and they've got these kickstands that you can angle in all kinds of different ways, and they look fantastic. Plus, they
Right.
were talking about Thunderbolt to like handle syncing, and so they had some interesting things. And apparently, the price point was only like $349, which I thought was
Yeah. What
uh,
about the modal 008 rack?
yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
unexpected.
Did,
Interested.
did you get a price on that? Did you guys get a
No, I
price?
didn't. No, I
Okay.
didn't.
I kind of assume it's like, what I'm saying? Like it's out there. Like,
Yeah, yeah. At least
you
three
know.
grand. At least three
Yeah.
I would
grand.
say
Right.
Yeah,
5, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
gonna be up there. But
I
my issue with
It's
that
the
is that
double O two
if I'm gonna buy
3000.
one of those, it's gonna be knobby. Like I need all.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it would be cool if they did like if they did something like the racks, but then they let you buy like a satellite, man, like a little desktop knob laden controller for the racks. Like I think that would be dope.
I think you
You
need
know,
to commission that, man. You
hey,
should get paid off of that one because I totally
hey,
agree.
Man, you talking about like getting a second loan and some type of like funding to be able to
Nah,
get
man, you
one of
got two
those, man.
kidneys. You only need
yeah.
one. He doesn't
But I
even
got
drink.
yo,
Joe doesn't drink. He could sell that kidney.
yeah, yo, I will say, man, like for my first time playing that 008, man, like I get it. Like, yeah, it's nice, man. Like. It's just it's a well-oiled beast. Like all those knobs and all those filters in there really impressed me. Like being able to have all those different analog filters was crazy.
I
But
liked the 008 more than I liked the O2. And neither one of them made me ready to take out a car loan.
no, 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 no.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's one of those things. Like yo, this is dope. I'm glad I had a chance to play it.
Yeah, but let me look at some stuff that
Yeah,
actually, yeah,
like it's just. I mean, and that's fine. Like there's cars like that. Like yeah, that's dope. But that's not in my realm of
I'll also say this.
They are in modular, so I
yeah.
will have all of those modules and send
Right.
them out because they're under $300.
Yeah, and that's a dope thing. It's like you can get that, you can get those oscillators, you can get the filter, and I think that's dope.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll say that
but in the end, you're paying twice as much as a 002. Look at Flux.
I think that's one
Yeah,
of those things where
it's in pieces, Mike. It's in pieces.
If I
Yeah.
was actually gonna buy the modal, it would be one of those things where I would have to have an appointment and sit down with it for a while before I really decided, because it's so much money it makes your heart skip a beat,
Yeah.
and you need to really be sure that that's where you want to be in life.
It
You know,
it
is
does sound it
this where you
sounds
want
so
to be
good,
when
man.
Jesus comes? You know,
It does sound good. It
because
does sound good.
you may have a heart attack, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you, like, yeah, it would be something that I would have to sit down and consider. Like, I can't say yes or no. I can only say I would need to consider it, like, by testing it in my setup or something for
Right.
a while before I really decided on it, because the
Yeah.
profit stick sounds mighty good to me too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is, man. It's something about that interface, man. Like it's really an inspiring interface, man. And there's nothing like it. And it sounds good. It really does sound good. But it is what it is.
I was surprised that Moog didn't have anything.
Man, don't even get me started on Mo. Don't even get me
Yeah,
started on
I
that.
think everyone
man.
expected to see
Like
a
that.
pop synth from Moog this year, and we went there, and it was like hippie beanbags, and
Man,
nobody.
that whole
We
sitting
were
on the
Yeah.
all
floor
too
thing.
old to bend down
No,
and sit
man,
down
I'm
on
not
those
doing that.
things.
I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I'm not. I mean, the
Yeah.
story behind it and everything was cool, but no.
Yeah.
So
Everything
that,
they had
that
everything on the floor, Mike. Like everything was on the floor. All the synths and everything were on the floor. And then they had like little like pillows and bags, and everybody was on the floor playing the synths. And
Not me.
Nah, man.
but that leads to another question I wrote down for the show is, were there any more disappointments? I mean, we
Yeah.
heard about, like, there's no Kassettenspieler from Waldorf, there's not the sampler from Roland, but was there any other stuff you guys expected way more, or you hope for something new?
I expected something new from Moog. Like
I did too.
for them to release that Mother 32 so early, it was like, yo, they got something else coming. I
Yep.
also expected something from Roland, not the sampler, but since they had the boutiques, I was like, yo, they probably gonna have like, since these are limited edition, they probably gonna come out with like a actual, synth that combines all these in it or something, or
Yep.
I was
Like
expecting something.
larger desktop modules. I was expecting larger.
Yeah,
If you really think about it, Roland did the opposite of announcing something. Instead, they were like, "We're not gonna be, we're not gonna be distributing the boutique anymore." They
Yeah.
were like,
Yeah.
so we thought about giving you something really dope, but we
Yeah.
were like, we're gonna take away.
Right.
That was hurtful, Like, why do you do us
Yeah.
like that?
That's actually good news for me because the boutiques, I have all three of them. So, and I was thinking about getting rid of them, kind of, but I think I'm definitely going to hold on to those now.
It did play with the 8-bit synth that they had, and it was an interesting type of lo-fi. So it was really beefy without the lo-fi noise that is associated with 8-bit in the same way. So it was like a clean 8-bit, which was
what's the
interesting.
price? What's the price on that little thing?
299, I think. 299,
With
right?
the keyboard, yeah, and
And it could play like it's in CV, like it can play your
yeah,
modular stuff.
it's a modular controller as well. Yeah, yeah, and the screen on it was cool, and the knobs felt nice. So it was a quirky little thing. I
What
don't
y'all
know
think
how
about the
well
key
it'll do.
step? What y'all think about the key step as
I
modular?
didn't get a
guys?
chance to mess with it. I didn't even get a chance to mess with
I
it.
only touched it for about 5 seconds, and I was like, okay, let me get back on that Matrix.
Right. I mean, but the concept, like, what do you think about the concept?
Oh, I think it was needed. I think it's
Yeah.
really, really needed, because there's been so many gripes about all these different sequencers that don't do polyphonic sequencing. So I felt like it needed to happen. Like,
So what is it? It's
Yeah,
basically
B-Step Pro, I think it would probably work really, really well with the B-Step Pro.
yeah, I can see using the two together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Mm.
it's a keyboard. It's like a little keyboard, kind of like one of these guys, like
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then it's got an arpeggiator.
It's
got-
basically a keyboard version of like the beat steps. Like
Yeah, but you said polyphonic. How is it polyphonic?
Sequence chords.
And so it has four individual volt per octave outputs.
I didn't see all the outputs on it. I don't believe so. I believe it's more MIDI, but I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I didn't even get a chance to fully read the copy on it when I was sent the press release, but
Without making it seem too simple, it's basically a micro group without the sound processor.
Oh, basically that's what it is.
There go Willie, left and right, up and down.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it has that same sequencer in it, pattern sequencer and stuff like
Okay.
that. So yeah.
But yeah, but the microbrute one wasn't polyphonic. Like this one does
No, no,
chords.
no. Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, to me, it seemed like a good idea. The other thing that I really liked, there was a couple of things. Um, so in the modular world, there was this Mordax did a oscilloscope that I thought was overpriced when I was reading about it on Muffs and whatnot. But then when I saw it in person and he gave me the walkthrough, I found myself really wanting it and feeling like the price point wasn't so overpriced. In addition to that, I would say Hex Inverter Mutant Snare Drum was ridiculously powerful. I was blown away by how good it sounded. And I really want one of those because that was like I thought it was just going to be a simple 808 snare, but it actually sounded really, really good. The What was the other one? Oh, the chord from Qubit.
Mhm.
And I'll let Willie talk about that a little bit because I know
Man,
you were
nah,
hyped.
we're gonna get into that on the Sim Summer show, man. Cause
Right, right.
that thing,
Yeah.
is
And
ridiculous.
listen, I'm gonna I don't know if I'm doing the wrong thing here because this isn't necessarily sales, but you know what I mean, like for what they wanted to present at NAMM or whatever. But getting back to Studio Electronics, they had a thing called, was it Tone Star? It was like a bass
It was
voice.
like the it was like the it was like the it had the ARP filter. It was like a full voice,
Yeah,
so it had had the
voice.
oscillator filter, everything in one little module. It was like 499. It's got
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
Well,
ARP
I asked
filter
him
in
where
it.
it was available. He said nowhere. So I don't know, but
Yeah.
that damn thing had me like, and he was grooving on it with the Charcoat Circles sequencer, which was real cool. But like he was grooving on that thing, and
and he
that
had a
thing,
bass line going, man.
that thing was straight up funky. Like I was digging
Yeah.
it. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a little thing, but it was so funky.
Yeah.
But there was just, for me, the whole show was modular. But that's why I'm gonna have a whole synth summit
Right, right.
because it's the show is, if people haven't seen it, the show is just like this show, but it's really focused on modular. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
a little bit more nerdy.
Yeah.
um, hey, Mike, let me just ask you real quick
Oh
before
man.
before we start to close out the show because I am paying attention. So um, we got a little hidden chat, and they're telling me to shut the hell up, like we gotta go. But I just wanted to ask, was there anything that you felt didn't get the coverage it should have? Like Yamaha Montage did not do it for me. I didn't even care to look at it, to
I
be
went
honest.
over there, but you know me, I like workstations and I like acoustic instruments, and that has the acoustic instruments mixed with the FM synth and the touchscreen, and the design of it is pretty cool. So I definitely want to get my hands on it. It sounded cool, sounded good to me. So something that I'm interested in.
But it's not a workstation anymore, is it? It's
Yeah.
now like a performance synth, like
Well,
so.
I don't sequence on my workstations anyway, so
Okay,
that
but
doesn't.
yeah, I just heard a bunch of guys a bunch of guys were very disappointed because they expected a new motif workstation kind of thing, and now it
Yeah.
became a performance synth, and
I mean, I
yeah.
think it still has a sequencer and all that stuff in it, so I'm
I
not
don't think
sure.
it does.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's still I guess maybe it doesn't have the pattern mode in it, but I mean, you can still sequence and build your tracks on it, and I don't know.
I don't know how deep that goes. It sounded to me like they stripped that way back.
I don't know. I never pay attention to that stuff because I don't use mine like that. I use them
Okay.
as a module, so I never sequence on the.
I've only used those things for bread and butter, and
Yeah,
I had Triton and Motif, and I preferred the Motif.
yeah,
And I hated the Triton, so
yeah.
I
Right.
But
don't know.
you just asked a question to me, right? I didn't hear it because there was some talking.
Me?
Folks, yeah, you just asked something, but I couldn't
I don't know. Do I
understand
look
it.
good?
I think he
Oh,
asked if there was anything else you felt got left out or didn't get
Oh yeah.
covered.
oh no, not really. Oh, I got one thing left to say. If Stefan Stenzel from Waldorf is seeing this by any chance, two things: make the Kassettenspieler. I really, really want that,
Totally
please.
agree.
And please make that modular case keyboard thing really, really expensive because I'm trying so hard to resist modular stuff.
I was actually really disappointed that I didn't make it over there. I tried to find them for a minute and I didn't find them, and I really, really wanted to. their modules look interesting to me, man. Like I know that Bryce had the NW1,
NW1, yeah.
and he ended up not. You didn't keep it, right?
No, I didn't keep it. Yeah, build quality just wasn't up to par for me. The knobs were the shafts were plastic. They weren't surface mounted, and it just aside from the panel being really heavy, it just felt really generic to me. It had a really generic feel to me. So
That's odd.
yeah.
Yeah, because their stuff looked interesting to me, but we kind of missed out. So, all right. Well, listen, we're gonna end this show, and I'm gonna shoot them guys some text, and we'll find out exactly what time the Synth Summit show is. Do you guys know when you guys want to do that? Maybe
Um,
I
I
guess
don't
we'll
know.
text.
Remember,
We'll text.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So I'll text those guys and I'll find out. So I won't be announcing the time right now. So, but yeah, let me pass it to Bryce. I'll let Bryce close out if he's got anything he wants to say.
No, just it was a great show this year. I had a good time. Modular is growing, so I mean, I think it's a good time for people to, there's just so many new and interesting ways to get into modular, from the little make noise, the new make noise joint, to the Mother 32. I mean, you got Waldorf, you got even, loosely the Matrix group. So there's so many ways to get into that kind of sound shaping and the whole
Right.
modular type of sound. So it was a good show, and it's good to see modular getting so much attention, because it's just, to me, it's just endless. It's a world of endless possibilities. So that's why I'm so fascinated by it. But good show, good NAMM show, and yeah, really, that's it.
Okay. And Joe.
Yeah, I mean, dope show. I mean, for me, the show was more about hooking up with you guys and hooking up with some of the companies that I work with throughout the year. So it was really dope in terms of networking for me. I mean, because we're going to learn about the gear regardless, right? So
Good point. Yep.
it was, for me, it was really good just networking and some really dope stuff coming up. So yeah, man.
Mike.
I first want to say I hope you guys like Willie, Bryce, and Joe coming more often to the show because I think you're a great addition. It's
Yeah, man. I'm down.
really really nice talk with you guys. And yeah, I wasn't there. Maybe next year,
Yeah,
hopefully
man.
to
You
meet
Yeah,
you
have
that'd
guys
be dope.
finally in
you,
person,
will you
or
Yeah.
come to the
some
music
of you
messe?
guys coming over here to Music Messe.
Hey,
And yeah, I just want to say, come over to patbangers.com. I got a new review uploaded yesterday, and I'm running the new Focusrite Claret 8 Pre.
okay.
I did a review in that, and I run it the Thunderbolt display against the older Scarlett 18920 USB interface.
Nice.
So if you want to see how Thunderbolt latency compares to USB, check out the video. It's really interesting.
Nice.
Dope.
Nice.
Oh
Nice.
yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Willie.
hey, yo, I had a great time at NAMM. It was my first time actually out there. Walked in the building and I was amazed at everything that was off in there. I got to meet a lot of good people, make good connections, hang out with you guys. So I had fun, man. It was actually an excellent time out there. And before I pass it back over to Ken, make sure y'all hit sonicexpansion.com. The sale is on until January 31st. So we got new people on there named Vibe. I don't know if you've heard of them. I know Ken has talked about them on the show before, but they have two new products, very excellent products. There's a new machine expansion on the site, so make sure you check out sonicexpansion.com to get your music game up.
Yeah, for real. So sonicexpansion.com is the new website that we just recently set up. That is the continuation of the machine warehouse, and we encompass all sorts of different software and expansions. I'm probably looking to release an expansion even for some hardware gear in the very near future as well. We've got a pack that's coming out for the Ultranova that's going to be extremely affordable too. So yes, I still love the Ultranova. I know some people don't. I love it.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say, just to close out, I really had a great time. I missed NAMM last year. because of the birth of my son, which I don't regret one bit. It's been a hectic year. It's
Yeah,
been very very interesting keeping things going with with the new baby here and everything. But I'm really happy that the support that has been shown to all of our sites, all of our shows, all that kind of stuff. It's really great that we have a community that supports us all in such a great way. Um,
definitely.
I want to apologize to anybody who I'm still uploading. I still have a ton of content
Me too.
uploading from
Yeah,
NAMM, and I know these guys do as well. But I want to apologize to anybody who I wasn't able to interview or wasn't able to do a video with. There's only so many hours that you're actually at NAMM. So to anybody I missed, feel free to contact me. I'll do whatever I can. But I genuinely, was happy. I got to see my girl Stony, and I was so happy to see her again, and just have a great time.
yeah,
So over at fluxwithit.com, I've got a whole NAMM set up over there, and you can also check out the Flux 302 YouTube channel where the Synth Summit show will be, and we'll continue over there. Probably in like an hour or two or something like that. I don't know. I'm gonna
cool,
shoot them some texts and we'll figure it out. So, peace.
cool. All right, peace.
Peace out.
Peace out, everybody.